This video is gonna probably be very disliked, mostly because there's gonna be a lot of people out there saying that you're out here supporting microtransactions and loot boxes and all this other crazy stuff, and that is more than not the case. I just want to have a conversation with you guys about microtransactions and how I personally feel about them and what I think the misconception of them are in some of these video games. So it's your boy Gaming Forte. Thanks for checking me out, and let's get into it. So the first thing I want to say is I do not 100% support microtransactions. I think some microtransactions are good, but I also think there are really shitty ways of implementing that into your video game. We all know Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the most egregious way you can ever offer microtransactions in the game. But it wasn't just for the fact that they were in the game. I don't think microtransactions as a whole is an inherent bad thing. I just think they have a really bad stigma added to them just because of pay to win aspects that people feel like is in their progression. Now, we all know Star Wars was the most egregious one of this because you literally paid for power in that game. You would open up a loot box and you had ways of making your character more powerful. It was a way to actually get some of the unlockable heroes in the game. And this is not the way you want to do microtransactions, especially when you're doing it in a full fleshed out $60 game. And this is something that people was not expecting from a game like Star Wars. I think this game mostly is the reason we get so much backlash around why people don't like microtransactions, even knowing this has been a conversation that's been going on for years, even before Star Wars came out. This is just the game that just brought it all to a boiling head. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of different ways for people to put microtransactions into their game. First, you have the $60 model, which a lot of people do not want to support because they feel like they're paying for the game up front and they shouldn't have any extra progression level items or cosmetic items added to the game because they feel like they pay for that in their $60 price tag. And I'm gonna get to that one in a second. But then you also have the free-to-play model, which is 100% supported by a lot of people. Some people out there still don't like the fact that you have to pay for skins and stuff, but you have Fortnite where you can actually buy battle passes for $10 and unlock a lot of the cosmetics through your progression. And then you also have those exclusive items that you can only buy with real money, and those skins could be anywhere upwards of $20 to $30. You also have games like League of Legends that have the same thing implemented in their progression. You can actually go out and spend $40-50 on a skin for a hero, and this is something that is widely accepted across that community. And people don't really think about that when they have these conversations because this is something that a lot of people don't mind doing. It's been there for a long time now. Let's take a game like Warframe, another free-to-play game. This game has so many microtransactions in it, it's crazy. But guess what? Digital Extremes, or I like to call them DE, does a very good job to make you feel like you don't have to buy them. I truly believe this really just comes down to the time versus money investment system that people feel are included in this whole theory of microtransactions. Because if you are a person that has a lot of money but not a lot of time, you are going to value the time more than you are money. So you're going to spend money to get closer and closer to the things you want to get in a game that's going to help you either look better than someone else, or in Star Wars' case, where they give you the option to pay to win, you're going to do it. Same thing with Warframe. You might unlock a whole bunch of the different versions of the Warframes just because you don't have the time to grind them out. This is going to be a case-by-case situation, and it really just comes down to you and the way you like to play. But then you're also going to have those people that live in that camp where money is super important and time, they have a lot of it. They can just throw time away and they can do everything they want to do in a game to actually unlock anything that comes out, and they're willing to hold on to that money because it's more of a value to them, and they feel like every penny they spend needs to be worth something, and they're not willing to just throw money away at a game just because it gives them the options to unlock something faster. They feel like progression for them is working smoothly and fast enough for them to actually get the things they want, and they have the time to do it. So those are basically the only two reasons you would actually be concerned with just spending money in microtransactions. Either you have enough time and money, or money and time. That's really what it comes down to. And the conversation really just needs to stick to that. So let's get to probably the biggest controversy that happened over the last week with Anthem and the leaked footage of the actual store, which none of this stuff has been confirmed. They actually came out and said that these numbers haven't even been ironed out and completely set in stone. So this all can change, but you have items in Anthem that can cost you up to $20. Now people are enraged because these items are part of a game that you pay upwards of $80 for, and they feel like this stuff should be included in the full price of the game. Now, I'm not going to argue with the facts that I feel like most people, you have a right to feel that way, because if you pay a certain amount of money for a game, you expect to get all the content. But I also feel like this is something that you can unlock by just playing through the progressions of the game. If the game allows you to still get these same items and be able to equip them and look just like everybody else, that's fine. But if someone doesn't have the time to put in and they see this really cool skin that's going to make them stand out from everybody else and they want to buy it, more power to them. I feel like if a person spends money in a game that allows you to unlock stuff faster and you can just buy it outright, that person is just hurting themselves, especially when you're talking about a single player or co-op game. You're taking away that investment time that you put into the game, and you're basically shortchanging yourself because only you are being hurt by this. No one else is being hurt by it. And that's the one thing I don't get about people complaining about certain microtransactions. As long as those are affecting you, why do you even care if that's in the game? Some people just feel like it slows their progression down, and we don't really know that. We just think that because it's a situation where people can pay for it, and they always feel like they want to move people towards this monetization model where, hey, we're going to slow down your progression to make you want to spend money. And shame on Bungie. Bungie is one of the people that did that, and that's where this whole idea came from. And they try to say it was a bug and all this other crazy stuff, and people call BS on it. So we really don't know what's going on under the hood when it comes to these games with these microtransactions. It's just the fact that they're there and it makes people uneasy, and I get that. But as long as it's something that you do not have to pay for when it comes to power, I have no problem with it. If it's a skin, if it's a dance move or anything like that, go ahead. Let the people ruin their own progression and not be able to have stuff to do later on in the game because they paid this money to unlock these items early. So in closing, microtransactions, it really depends on how you feel about them. In certain games, they're great. In other games, they just have this bad stigma. But overall, it really just comes down to how you perceive that microtransaction and what genre they're in. They're more accepted in certain genres than they are in others, especially if a game is a free-to-play game versus a game that you pay a full-fledged $60 for, or even $40 for. I think if you put a price tag on a game, people have a problem with it to an extent. But hey, Apex Legends, that is another new game that just came out. It's super amazing. It's got $20 skins in it, and people are probably going to complain about that, but not as much, because guess what? It's a free-to-play game. But I'm going to give you a little bit of math. So right now they have in the store, under the weekly featured store list of items you can buy, one item is like $18. They have a $20 item, it looks like, in there, and these are for the week. You have 1 week to get them. Guess what? There'll be a new refresh in there next week, and then the week after that, another refresh. And even a week after that, it may be another refresh. Now, we don't know if these are going to be things that's going to come and go and they're going to be different versions, or we might ever get a repeat of certain items. But as of right now, we know every week you're going to have something new to buy from that feature weekly store. Guess what? If you spend $18 each week for a month, you're spending about $72 in 1 month. Do it again, you're spending $144. At what point do you actually spend more money on a free-to-play game than you do on a full-fledged version of a game that you pay for? I just want you to think about that. Free-to-play games, yes, they're free, but you could end up spending more money on a free-to-play game than you ever spend on a full-fledged $60 game. That is just the inherent business of microtransactions. So I know there's other people that's going to fight back and say, well, you can also do the same thing in a $60 game, especially something with Anthem in it. You can spend $20 on this, $20 on that. But guess what? I'll fight you back on that. Those store featured items that you see in the Apex store can only be bought with real money. All of those items that you see in the Anthem store can be bought with in-game credit or money. So you can grind out that stuff and buy it, but the stuff that's in the Apex store, you can only buy with real money. So think about that, let that sit in there with you, and then we can have a conversation about it down in the comment section. How do you feel about microtransactions? Do you think it's something that definitely needs to be changed? Do you have a problem with certain ones? Which ones are you okay with? Definitely want to hear what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section. And as always, I appreciate you watching my videos and subbing to this channel. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps out the channel a lot, and share it with all your friends on social media. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.